Hey guys, and welcome to the video. My name is LaRuin, and this is my Dark Lux build. This is just bits and pieces, unlike my usual tutorials, because my hard drive crashed and took all of my footage of it. I also have a bit more content in my live streams if you'd like to see that, but other than that, I just have these little bits to share with you. I started off with something easy. I started with the thigh guards, which were, relatively fun. I wrapped myself in saran wrap and duct tape and just did a quick pattern of my upper thigh. And then I just hand drew some Sharpie marks and started engraving it with my Dremel, as you can see. It produces a kind of engraved metal look, and it's relatively fun and easy to do. However, do be careful on thinner foam, as you can Dremel right through it and produce holes. So just be mindful of that when dremeling. Next is the warbler work. I did do a live stream on how I carved all the insulation foam pieces, but I'm working with Worbla's black art, and I'm just heating it up and wrapping it all the way to the back and then pinching it tight so that it holds, and then cutting off the excess. I learned my lesson because the first one I did, I just kind of wrapped it all around and it didn't turn out as clean as the others. Also, be sure not to do direct heat on the pink insulation foam because it can burn and the fumes that it lets off are very toxic. So I'd recommend wearing a respirator when working with pink insulation foam. Also, the dust that it leaves off are super harmful to your nose. It's like tiny little knives. For the crown base, I used 2mm craft foam and sandwiched it between two pieces of black art Worbla. Just heated it up and used a pair of scissors around the edges just to make it nice and firm between it. Then cut off the excess and just worked it into a more moldable, clean shape, and then just shaped it directly on top of my head. As I've said before, Worbla sticks to itself, so I just heated up both pieces and then just squished them together, and there you go. I have the first part of my crown. I kept checking with each one to make sure it sat on my head properly and that my crown wasn't crooked on my head. By this point, I was super pleased with how the crown was turning out. I was actually just thinking to myself, why haven't I made a crown out of Worbla before yet? Because it's so fun. Staying true to reference, the last bits of crown pieces were just kind of floating in the air. I tried to mimic the effect by using some beading wire or wire wrapping wire, I'm not sure which. It was just at Yvonne's house somewhere. So I stuck it on and just kind of looked at it just to make sure it was placed, and then I took the little crown piece off and just warbled the wire to the base because I can just slip the crown piece right back on. Once it was secured, I could then put the crown piece back on there. And once it was on exactly where I wanted it, I just used some scrap Worbla and wrapped it around the wire so that it wouldn't move anymore. One last fitting test, and I was super pleased with how it turned out. It's such a cool crown, and I'm happy I got to make it. The next part that I did was I tried to clean up my super bad seams with a Dremel just a bit. It didn't work all that great, but just having clean Worbla work probably would solve this problem, but any small seams you can just get with a Dremel. She has a type of black choker around her neck, so I just decided, hey, I'm making everything else out of foam, I might as well make this out of foam. I just drew a quick template and just looked at it on my neck to make sure it fit, and then just cut it out of, I think, 3mm craft foam, and I had a choker. Unfortunately, this is the last of the footage I had left, and this is the boob cup part. I just took some meshed Worbla art, stronger than black art, and shaped it over a styrofoam ball real well, and then I cut it to shape later and then glued it to my breastplate. Unfortunately, I lost the rest of the footage, so this is the finished costume. I live streamed a little bit on how I made parts of my staff and I think the feathers a bit. I also have a feather tutorial if y'all are curious about that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.